Hello everybody, welcome back to Elder Wolf MTG. We are back for another pack opening. I've been winning some packs, and I also used some of my earnings to do the Psychic Frogs secret giveaway and earn some more packs from the temporary currency that's around for another couple of weeks. And yeah, we've got 20 packs here to open, so we're going to jump right in and talk about the rares and go from there. So let's open our first pack. Alrighty, let's see here. We have Tamio, Inquisitive Student, a 1-drop for 03. When Tamio attacks, you investigate, and when you draw your third card in a turn, you exile Tamio and then return her transformed into the Planeswalker ability, which is what you want. +2 until your next turn. Whenever a creature attacks you or a Planeswalker you control, it gets -1 power until end of turn. Gives it a little bit of protection, and then the -3 ability, which you cannot do when it flips, notably, you can return a target instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand, and if it's a green card, add 1 mana of any color. And her ultimate is you draw cards equal to half the number of cards in your library, rounded up, and you get an emblem that you have no maximum hand size. So like most ultimates, if you get that, you're probably going to win the game. But yeah, I mean, yeah, good card. It's a 1-drop. You can investigate in pretty early, especially if you're on the draw and you 1-drop this, and you can probably get, 2, maybe even 3 clue tokens, which will enable you to flip Tamio pretty easily in that sense. So yeah, good card. Would I first pick this in a draft? Depends on what else is in the pack. I think if there's like just a super solid, strong card in some other way, then I'm not sure. This is definitely a build around for the draw 3 type deck. But yeah, definitely first pickable, but I would need to look at the pack to see. Okay, let's go to the next pack. Okay, we have Genku. Genku is really good. 4 mana for 2/5. And then whenever another non-token permanent, not just a creature, you control leaves the battlefield, you choose one that has not been chosen this turn, and you create a creature token with those characteristics. And then you can use Genku's 5 mana to put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. So if you have flicker effects, if you have treasures, if you have the Eldrazi spawn, or sorry, no, non-token. If you have ways to flicker or any other type, if your creatures die or what have you, then this can trigger and you can get token creatures of your choice back in. So yeah, really good card. I would definitely first pick Genku. Very nice card. Let's go to the next pack. Okay, yep, okay, rare land. Rare lands are always good, especially if you're doing any kind of constructed. I wouldn't pick a rare land first, but yeah, good for constructed. All right, 2 rares this time. Hers is Incubator, 3 mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, and then creature spells of the chosen type cost 2 colorless less to cast. Yeah, don't know if this would be first pickable, probably not in limited, but in constructed, this is very powerful for a tribal type deck for sure. Philia. 2/2 flash for 2, and then when Philia attacks, you exile up to 1 other target non-land permanent, and at the beginning of the next end step, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control, and if it entered under your control, you put a counter on Philia. So this is a flicker effect. You need Philia to attack. It is notably up to 1 other target non-land permanent, not Philia. So yes, this is one of those, if you get it on the 2-drop and you're on the play, this could get pretty crazy pretty quickly, especially with the flash ability. Yeah, so I would first pick Philia. It's that good. Next pack. All right, Haragast. Erupting Nullkite, the 9 mana 6/6 flyer. That when you cast, you may exile your hand, and if you do, you draw 3 cards. So notably, you would expect that if you were having, you know, 1 or 2 cards in your hand when you cast Terragast, then you basically kind of refill your hand a little bit. And then also each creature spell you cast has Emerge. Emerge is you may cast a spell by sacrificing a creature and paying the Emerge cost reduced by that creature's mana value. So you can get Terragast out quickly by sacrificing a creature of some mana value. You can ramp Terragast out. So yeah, really, really good card. I would definitely first pick that one. Imskir, the 8 mana 5/5 affinity for artifacts. So if you have artifacts, you can use it to cast or reduce the cost of Imskir. So you can get it out faster with creating treasures and such. So when Imskir enters, you draw X and lose X, where X is half the number of artifacts you control rounded down. And then you can pay for, sack an artifact, and then Imskir deals damage equal to the sacrificed artifact's mana value to any target. Good card. You definitely have to go straight into the artifact deck for this to have any kind of value out of Imskir, for sure. So, yeah, I think it's first pickable, but it's definitely a build around. So if you get this, then you can pick it and really try to hone in on the black-red deck, at least in limited. All right, next one, Birthing Ritual. I had this, or I drafted this in my last draft. I didn't end up playing it, but it is a way to basically ramp up into creatures that are have more mana value. So I think this is more of a constructed card in general. It can work well if you have a good curve out in limited, but I don't think I would first pick this, but can be good. I think if you get the right deck, this can be good, but it's more of a constructed is how I see Birthing Ritual. And Kozilek. Yeah. 9 mana, 9/9. And when you cast Kozilek, up to 2 target players manifest 2 cards from their hands, and that means that they, if they have 2 cards, they have to put them down as a 2/2 creature, and then they can turn it face up anytime for its mana cost if it's a creature card, and then for each card manifested this way, you draw a card. And then other colorless creatures you control get +3/+2, like kind of a super lord for colorless. So yes, if you're going Eldrazi, especially with a lot of Eldrazi spawns, this is a one you want for sure. And definitely, like as a commander, this gets really ridiculous, but that's another format. And then it's Sapphire Medallion. Wouldn't first pick Sapphire Medallion or any of the medallions, but if you are strongly in one of those colors for the medallion, it can really help you. Next pack. Orum's Chant, 1 mana, target player cannot cast spells this turn. If the spell is kicked, creatures cannot attack. So a defensive spell with kicker, not first pickable for me. A utility spell, but yeah, not first pickable. Interesting utility spell. Chthonian Nightmare, 2 mana, enchantment, gives you 3 energy. When it enters the battlefield, you can pay X energy to sack a creature and return this enchantment back to its owner's hand, and then you return target creature card with mana value of the amount of energy you paid from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if you get energy decks, this is a good one that you can use with. Don't think it's necessarily first pickable, but if you're in black and you have other energy sources, this can be really, really good. Next pack. And we get a wild card, which sure, we'll take a wild card. Psychic Frog. The Dimir 1/2, whenever it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you draw a card, which is great. You can discard a card to put a 1/1 counter on Psychic Frog, and then when you exile 3 cards from your graveyard, it gains flying into end of turn. Just really good value. I would first pick this one. I really like drawing cards, and there's a lot of utility to Psychic Frog. So yes, I would first pick this one in limited. Roshin, this 4 mana, 4/4, and you're looking for a cards that have X in its mana cost, kind of like the Nyxborn Hydra. That's really more constructed. I mean, you can get several X cards in the draft, and if you do, and then you come across Roshin, you can, go that route. So when you can reveal any number of cards with X in their mana cost in your hand, and then you add 2 void mana for each card revealed this way. And so yes, if you get a lot of X mana cards and you get Roshin on the battlefield, I mean, yes, it can be very, very good, but I see this more as constructed, or more like open pack 2, open pack 3, and you have several X's and you're in one of these 2 colors and you splash Roshin. All right, let's go to the next one. Last Modern Horizons 3 pack. Lelia, really good one. 3 mana, 2/2 haste. And then when Lelia attacks, you can exile the top card of your library. You can play that card this turn. And then whenever 1 or more cards are put into exile from your library and or your graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on Lelia. So pretty much you attack as a 3/3 haste with this, and then you get card advantage with this too. So super great for the aggro decks. Monumental Hinge out of planes, but then you can pay 4 and look at the top 5, and you can reveal a historic card that is artifact, legendary, or sagas, and put that into your hand. So again, sort of a build around, but it can give you good value if you have several historic cards in your deck. Not really first pickable. I would first pick Lelia for sure. All right, let's go to some packs of Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Wild card rare, we'll take it, and Archmage's Charm, triple blue, and then you can choose to counter or draw 2 or gain control of target non-land permanent mana value 1 or less instant speed. So I wouldn't first pick this because it's so heavy blue, but if you're heavy into blue and you get this later, yeah, sure, pick it up. Next pack. Karavik. Karavik's just really good. 3 mana, 3/3. Whenever you commit a crime, you exile up to 1 target black card from your graveyard. So it's up to, so it's your choice, and then you copy that, and you can cast the copy. And if you do, you lose 2 life. So really good card advantage for the crimes deck. Very, very first pickable is Karavik. High Noon. It's an enchantment. Each player cannot cast more than 1 spell each turn. And then you can pay 5 with red as being required, and it deals 5 damage to any target. Yeah, this really shuts down the the plot decks, anything obviously with lots of card draw. And so yeah, it can really shut those like value decks down, and then you have the option later of using it as a removal. So I mean, good spell. It's one of those things that if you're not playing against one of those decks, then this is kind of could be more hindering to you than to your opponent. So probably a little bit more constructed around this, but in the right deck, obviously you want to be more Boros for this. In the right deck, this can be good. Rush of Dread. This one is really good. Again, spree spells, I really like them because of the options. 3 mana base, and then you can add on. So the full cost is going to be 8 mana if you want to do all options here, but you can have an opponent sacrifice half their creatures they control rounded up, or they discard half the cards rounded up, or they lose half their life rounded up. This is really heavily played and constructed right now in standard. With the demon that makes you double the life that you lose, and so you have that on the battlefield, then you cast this the next turn, and or maybe even the same turn, and then you just win the game. So yeah, very powerful card, very first pickable for sure. Endless Detour. Green, white, blue. The owner of target spell or non-land permanent or a card in graveyard puts it on the top or bottom of their library. Lots of options with this spell. Very good. Really like this. It's triple color, which is, you know, from a first pick type situation is probably not what you want to do. But if you're in 2 of these colors and you have a little bit of fixing or flexibility, splashing for Endless Detour is really good. Gives you lots of options. Malcolm the Eyes, we've played with this one before in some of our drafts. 2/2 Flying Haste, and then whenever you cast your second spell, Investigate. So yeah, very good, especially with the plot decks. First pickable, I would first pick Malcolm with the Eyes. It's really, really good. All right, last Thunder Junction pack. Contagion Engine, 6 mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, put a -1/-1 counter on each creature a target player controls, and then you can pay 4 mana to proliferate twice. Yeah, I mean, really good for the counters deck that you can use because you can proliferate on your own, as well as if they have -1/-1 counters, and this thing can basically wipe their board in time if they don't have any way to deal with the counters. Yeah, it's a very fun card. First pickable, I mean, you could. It's a build around, but it's powerful if you get the right build. 3 steps ahead. I enjoy this card quite a bit. I have first picked it before in kind of a fairly weak pack, so I think that's kind of where it sits. You can first pick it if there's not really much else going on because you get options. I really enjoy the options here. Note that the counter does take 2 blue to cast if you choose that option with Spree, but I have chosen this as a first pick once before. And our Lone Wilds of Eldraine for our 20th pack. And let's see, we get Lord Skitter. Very, yeah, really good card. 3 mana, 3/3. And whenever another rat enters the battlefield under your control, you exile up to 1 target card from an opponent's graveyard. Note that that is a crime in the cards from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. And then at the beginning of combat on your turn, you create a 1/1 black rat creature token. So yeah, this is very first pickable, very powerful card. Lots of play in standard right now as well. Okay, well that's it everybody. Thanks so much for watching our pack opening. When I get around 20 or so packs in the future, I will do more pack opening videos. We'll talk through the rares and see how they would do in limited formats and even how they might do in constructed. But thanks so much everybody. If you like the content, like and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you later.